Hi, I'm Dr. Charles Denham. Today's briefing is on a topic that we think might be important to you.
We have launched a private community of practice for medical center leaders by identifying emerging threats that are increasingly challenging their medical centers today, from workplace violence to cybersecurity and nation-state influence, to patient safety issues of errors of omission and misdiagnosis, to academic fraud, conflict of interest, defamation, drug diversion, and critical medication shortages. The number one risk keeping our top leaders up at night is the potential damage to their brand, which is increasingly vulnerable to these emerging threats. Security, administrative, clinical, research, and governance leaders from our most highly ranked academic, regional, and specialty medical centers are working together to address these emerging threats and confidentially share best practices with each other. The program is hosted by the Global Patient Safety Forum, run by TMIT, a 501c3 medical research organization. It is invitation only, entirely free, and has no commercial purpose. It is funded by private family philanthropy, as was the original Leapfrog Group survey, also developed by TMIT, and uses the same approach. Founded in 1984, TMIT Global leads the longest-running and largest global patient safety community of practice in the world, having delivered more than 350,000 hours of continuing medical education through more than 150 consecutive monthly webinars over 12 years. The network of more than 80,000 clinical and administrative healthcare leaders has been continuously surveyed for satisfaction, requests for safety content, and priorities. They have driven the direction of the curriculum, shared best practices, and given us a head start on all-cause threats. Using the same approach, our emerging threat community of practice does not, nor will it ever receive direct, indirect, or affiliated financial support of any kind from the healthcare industry. Threat safety science is a new discipline for healthcare that harnesses much of what we've learned from successful patient safety programs. It takes a systematic approach to specific threats by reducing vulnerability through increasing resilience and thereby reducing the risk of harm. Harm to those we serve, those who serve, and our property, both physical and virtual. Those we serve are our patients and their families and loved ones. Those who serve are our caregivers, professional administrators and their staff, and researchers. Our property is both physical and virtual, such as intellectual property, information systems, digital operations, and medical records. There are also our reputations that are at risk from the explosive impact of misinformation that is now broadcasted over the internet. Misinformation that is instant, searchable, and permanent. Threats to those we serve, those who serve, and our property may originate from outside sources, inside sources, or a mixture of both. Some are man-made threats and others are natural. For a given threat, the goal is to decrease vulnerability and increase resilience. Mathematically, this reduces the risk of incidents and the magnitude of the harm they generate. Threat velocity, or the speed at which these threats are challenging our leaders, is accelerating and making it ever harder to keep up. This demands that we collaborate with others and share what we learn. The problem is that the threat spectrum is very much like the electromagnetic spectrum. It's comprised of both visible and invisible components. Like an iceberg, although many of the threats are above the waterline, visible and easy to spot, many of them are invisible and are hidden under the waterline. We're unaware of them until we're surprised when they cause harm. It's helpful to have a set of operational definitions to help classify harm during the process of care. Unintentional harm to patients by caregivers and administrators, such as errors of commission, errors of omission, and harm due to recklessness, are very much different than intentional harm. Although much of preventable harm can be linked to the actions of our people, the majority are system faults and errors of omission, not errors of commission, which up until now have been the focus of our patient safety experts. A small minority are due to recklessness, such as actors knowingly violating procedures and taking shortcuts, and when so-called enablers ignore such behaviors and allow care to be compromised. Thankfully, even fewer are actions overtly intended to cause harm, which we call redcoat crime, that are often sensationalized by the press. This video introduces a survey of medical center leaders regarding critical emerging threats. Those surveyed may at their option decide to join our community of practice tackling these issues, or those surveyed may just request the survey summary of insights from their colleagues be sent to them. Anyone can limit their participation to just the survey alone. The survey is of leaders in security, administrative, clinical, risk, compliance, and patient safety roles of the top-ranked medical centers. The goal is to inventory and prioritize emerging threats and measure our leaders' interests and best practices. Our global emerging threat community of practice will be focused on understanding, developing, and adopting the best practices using world-class methods of prevention, preparedness, protection, and performance improvement. These activities include online webinars, on-demand training, case study development and discussions, white papers, in-person meetings, and the use of assessment tools. The community has been developed using the 5C innovation model we've used with Google, the World Health Organization, and the Leapfrog Group enabled by multimedia and the IHI All Teach, All Learn model that has been used so successfully in performance improvement. We convene invited leaders, connect them in whatever manner they wish, celebrate the great work they are already doing, co-create new concepts, tools, and resources that can be provided to the entire group, and over time seek to impact change through them, their regions, and hopefully the world. Some organizations just take our survey and receive the private aggregated results, and that's enough. Others get more actively involved in collaborating. Organizations are allowed to move their level of participation up or down at any time. For skiers used to the symbology, level 1 is like the green slopes, where those who want to participate may do so at the most minimal level, may passively observe, participate in webinars and online content, even remain anonymous if they wish, and they may just have one representative participate. Level 2 is an intermediate stage. It includes the learning at the first level and adds to that initiating an internal training program to address one or more of the emerging threats. They also will have the option of sharing data. At the more comprehensive level 3, an organization that is operating at levels 1 and 2 may want to add local outreach and training to those in their region or ecosystem. They may want to do some limited emerging threat R&D. And finally, at level 4, certain organizations may want to become a global center of excellence, undertake more comprehensive emerging threat R&D, and even become a global education center that others want to visit so that they can watch and learn. This is the double black diamond level. The leaders from our top-ranked medical centers and the global subject matter experts in emerging threats who contributed to the design of this survey and the community of practice invite you to join this cause, the cause of preventing harm to those we serve, those who serve, and our property, both physical and virtual. The information that is shared remains private and confidential. It is only shared with the participants as an aggregated summary. There is no cost to participate in the Emerging Threats Community of Practice. You may find more information and see our team at the Global Patient Safety Forum website at www.globalpatientsafetyforum.org. Please join us.